What's up everyone, it's Caddy with Money Vesting, so welcome on board. I just figured I'd do this live stream for about 30 to 45 minutes to go over some of the top stocks to watch for the upcoming week because we've got another week filled with earnings and a lot of things that are happening. So thank you so much for joining in. If you guys can hear me without any issues, if you guys can see the screen, just let me know in the live chat if everything is working accordingly. So I would really appreciate that. And again, I hope you guys had a great weekend and are ready to start yet another week on a great note. So let me know in the live chat if you guys can hear me and if you guys can see the screen. All right, all good? Perfect. So the futures market is open right now. We got the NASDAQ futures up over 38 basis points. So we are trading past over 15,000 once again. We got the S&P futures also up over 46 basis points, trading past over 4,400 once again. And we've got the Dow futures, which is up another 139 points, just trading shy of 35,000, but up another 40 basis points on the day. So all across the board, the futures market look very positive. Now, this doesn't necessarily mean that we're going to see a rally going into tomorrow. A lot of things change overnight, but it's just showing us as a good indication that we could potentially see a gap up day starting tomorrow. But you know, a lot of things change overnight, but we'll see. We'll see where the futures and the markets end up in about 6 hours. So right now it's about 10 p.m. Eastern. We'll see where we end up with 4 a.m. pre-market open. So Andre says red week. Why do you think, Andre? Why do you think we're gonna have a red week? Give us the why as to why you think that we're gonna see a red week. All right. So market's topping next 2 weeks. All right. So a lot of people have great analysis and opinions. That's awesome. So waiting for NIO's delivery numbers. Yes. So actually, you know what? Let me check if they have reported that or not. They probably have not. So all right. Yeah, they have not yet reported that as far as I know. Yeah, I don't think they have reported it yet. So I'll update you guys as soon as they report those earnings, actually those delivery numbers. So yeah, so delivery numbers for the month of July. June is going to be coming up very shortly. So today is August 2nd here it's Monday. So I'm assuming it's going to be sometime later today is when they're going to release those earnings. So I will get that video out to you guys as soon as possible. All right, so let's see, because everyone is chasing the dip. Okay, that's interesting. That's good to know. And earnings aren't finished. Yes, so there is going to be some volatility here. So this right here, all the earnings coming up. We already put out a video going over everything to watch starting next week. These are all the companies that are reporting. Some of the companies that I'm personally very interested in and watching very closely are going to be Alibaba right here before the markets opened on Tuesday, and Corsair Gaming. Those are two stocks on Tuesday before the market opens that I'm watching. Then on Wednesday, I'm going to be watching right here after the close. I'm watching Roku, I'm watching Uber, and I'm watching Etsy. Those are three companies I'm personally interested in and will be looking into very closely. Then on Thursday, we've got Square and Moderna. Which companies are you guys watching? Let me know in the live chat. Which ones are you guys really interested in starting next week in terms of the earnings, and of course from a technical standpoint as well, if there's any ones that you're looking into. So need Facebook to go to 250 and Nvidia 185. Facebook with 250, isn't Facebook trading at a much higher level? So Facebook, yeah, 350. That's a steep drop. That's a drop of over $100 a share for you. But anyway, so going back to our chart here, so we got Fiverr that's also reporting. I'm going to be watching Fiverr. Very interesting. So from this chart, we're looking at this chart for top stocks to watch next week. If there's any companies that you are interested in that are reporting earnings, but there are good setups for a potential technical analysis standpoint as well, let us know and we'll try to break that down as well. So, all right, skills. Somebody says Alibaba. Of course, Alibaba will be breaking that down in just a second. What's going on with NIO? Still no update. Yeah, so NIO is still going to be reporting their delivery numbers very soon. It usually does come on Monday, like towards the afternoon for me, but it's a little bit further in Shanghai as well. So I'm expecting that very soon. So, all right, so people are interested in DraftKings. Some of them are interested in Lyft. Yep. So yeah, I forgot about Lyft right here. So Lyft is reporting on whatever that day is, so after the close on Tuesday. Uber, DraftKings, Nikola, that's good. Wow, I haven't seen any Squares. Only one Square. Kanal says he's interested in Square and DraftKings. So DraftKings also reporting after the markets close. Well, before the markets open on Friday. So Friday they're reporting their earnings. But no one's interested in the cruise lines. Cruise lines are going kind of under the radar, right? Because cruise lines are reporting also. So we got Royal Caribbean over here, and we got Norwegian over here as well on Friday. So Royal and Norwegian cruise lines reporting their earnings as well on Wednesday and on Friday. So that's interesting. So Twilio actually reported their earnings last week, right? So they actually reported their earnings not this week, but last week as well. This right here is the August 2021 calendar. So we've actually, I'm going to be sharing this with our Patreon members. By the way, August just opened up, so we've got some new spots available if you want to take advantage of that. The link is going to be down in the description below. So August 2021, starting Monday, this is actually a mistype. It should be Monday, August 2nd. We've got the ISM manufacturing PMI report. Then this week we've also got the unemployment report, right? So we got the ADP non-farm payrolls, but on the first Friday of the month, which is going to be on August 6th, which is going to be actually this Friday. So August 6th, Friday, we've got the unemployment report, the non-farm payrolls for the month of July, how many jobs we added, the actual revised unemployment rate. Currently we're sitting at 5.9%. So that is going to be super interesting, because that gives us a good understanding on the labor market, and then participation rate and the average hourly earnings as well. Then on Monday we got the JOLTS report that really goes over the job openings, and then on August 11th, which is a Wednesday, we've got the CPI and the core CPI. Very important day. You want to mark this on your calendar, because that's when we get the actual inflation readings. That's the main headline number that a lot of people like to report on. So CPI, core CPI for the month of July is going to be reported on that day. And then on Thursday, followed one day later, we've got the PPI and the core PPI. That's a producer price index. That's how much manufacturing companies and producers are paying for their goods and services. So two dates that are really, well, three dates that I want you guys to remember. August 6th, which is a Friday. This is this upcoming Friday. That's the unemployment report. Then we got August 11th. That's a Wednesday. That's the CPI and the core CPI. That's the inflation numbers. Then on Thursday, it's August 12th. It's the PPI, producer price index. And Tuesday, not so much of an important day, but still we're going to have retail sales on that day, and core retail sales as well. So that's also going to be very important. But again, August 2021 calendar right here. All right, so let's take a quick look at some of the stocks here. Somebody says that XPeng actually reported their delivery numbers. Let me see if I can find that here very quickly to see what exactly they reported. So, all right, so XPeng had a really strong month. Look at that. So XPeng reported XPeng delivered a record 8,040 vehicles in July, up 228% from a year ago. That's absolutely incredible. So XPeng Motor delivered 8,040 vehicles in July, the highest monthly delivery record, up 228% year over year, up 22% from June. And the company's flagship sedan P7 delivered 6,054 units in July, the highest monthly delivery record since its launch. XPeng's data released Monday showed cumulative deliveries of P7 reached 40,612 units since its launch in July 2020. So yeah, we should expect NIO's delivery numbers here anytime soon. But XPeng with a strong delivery number, 8,040, that's a jump of 228%. So we'll see where they actually end up for cumulative deliveries as well, and then of course for NIO and what that number is going to look like. So they should report sometime soon here, and then we'll should also listen in on Li Auto's delivery numbers as well. But very quickly on XPeng, you'll notice that we have just been hovering around this range, still trading above those moving averages. When we had this sort of fear across the board for a lot of Chinese stocks, they basically dipped. So XPeng basically dropped from highs of $44 to $33.65, so we were down about 25%, and then we saw a recovery back up, so we're now trading past over those moving averages once again. So the support level that I have for XPeng is at $37.26, and the $46 level is going to be the next resistance level to watch. This could act as some type of a catalyst for XPeng, right? This is a huge deal, 220%, 8,000 vehicles delivered. That's a really strong number for the company. So I wouldn't be surprised for the MACD to cross over the signal line, for the RSI to also start trending higher. That's going to be a bullish crossover, and for us to see a retest of $46, $47 going into next week as well. So that's XPeng. The NIO, we've already talked about that. So it's all now starting to creep back higher over that resistance of $44 and those moving averages. So next level to watch is also going to be at $47 for the company. Do they both have the same resistance here? So, all right, so XPeng has 46 something, and Neo has a $47 resistance. And again, I'll update you guys as soon as they report their delivery numbers. My expectations are very conservative at 8,000 vehicles. I'm assuming they're going to do much better than that, but I'd rather be a little bit conservative with my estimates, because a lot of things can happen. William Lee also mentioned that the supply chain constraints are still going to be a little bit of an overhang on the industry. So we'll see how Q3 kind of shapes up for the delivery numbers as well. So Robert, you're a beast. I watch your videos every time you post. Thank you for your content. I appreciate that. Thank you so much for joining in, and glad the videos are helpful. And that's the whole point. We're trying to look at the whole dynamics of the markets. We're trying to look at the fundamental analysis, technical analysis, and the macro analysis, right? So we cover all three bases when it comes to just looking at the markets and just investing hard-earned money into the markets as well. So Neo, keep a close eye at $47. That right there is going to be the resistance, and 44 is going to be a support. All right, could you please take a look at DAX? So DAX is going to be the German index. Right now it's down. The market's closed at the moment, but we have been kind of back and forth with this index a lot. There is some negative divergence kind of forming. God, I need to get a haircut very soon here. Last time I remember when we got a haircut, when I got a haircut, Neo started rallying. I remember that. It was like May 12th, May 13th is when the last time I got one. So maybe, who knows, we'll potentially get a rally once again. For a lot of these companies. But this right here for the DAX was like the higher high, with the lower highs being formed for the relative strength index, right? So you'll notice that we are seeing a little bit of a bearish divergence, and that is some of the cases between for S&P as well, right? So if you take a look at the S&P 500, almost an identical pattern. So we continue to make these higher highs, but we're making lower highs from a relative strength index, right? So RSI is making lower highs. Same with the NASDAQ as well. So if you go over to the IXIC, you'll notice that higher highs being formed, lower highs for the RSI, so there is some bearish divergence. And same thing kind of for the DAX as well. So lower highs being formed over here from the relative strength index. That doesn't necessarily mean that we're going to see a breakdown, potentially down to that 200 SMA or something, but that's something to be cautious about, that these bearish divergences do lead to some type of a pullback or a correction if you do see one. So that's going to be interesting to watch. All right, so let's take a look at ChargePoint very quickly. So ChargePoint has been kind of back and forth for a long time. The RSI, the MACD look very strong for the company. Watching $22 support here, so that right there is going to be the level to watch. Right there, just gonna move that. So yeah, $22 is going to be support. We've got a perfect validation from that level twice now. So you'll notice that we got supported at that level once here. This right here was the second time. So twice we got a perfect bounce back higher. But right now we are making some type of lower highs as well. So this right here are going to be lower highs, kind of like a descending triangle. So starting next week, if we continue to kind of fill in this channel, the chances or the probability does suggest that we could see a little bit of a breakdown below $22, potentially back down to $19.70, which in my opinion is going to be a much better entry and an ideal entry that we originally had anticipated for ChargePoint as well. But $22 is a validated support so far going into next week. And then we'll watch 1967 as the next level if we kind of continue to fill in this descending triangle and break down below this support. All right, next up we're going to be Skills. Skills is also kind of in this lower high, lower low pattern. They're also reporting their earnings next week on Tuesday after the markets close. So you definitely may want to look into like the fundamentals of the company and what the actual expectations are when it comes to the revenue, the earnings as well. So that's going to be very interesting. But support level at close to 1250 for Skills, right? That's a support that we have validated a couple of times. So you'll notice that we validated that level here back in April. This right here was another time back in May. That level has also previously acted as a resistance over here. So that right there is a support that I have marked for Skills and a resistance at $24. It's a pretty wide range, but every time we've kind of retested that level of $12.50, we've got a perfect bounce higher, right? So over here, we rallied basically over 74%. This was the second time we rallied over 92%. So I wouldn't be surprised to see a retest all the way down to 1250 and then a recovery back up, considering that the MACD and the RSI are very oversold, right? The RSI trading as low as 34 to 35. The MACD is also trading at literally oversold levels. So if you get a bullish crossover, then we could see a potential recovery for Skills back up to $20 or $24 as well. So Skills is not a SPAC. I don't think it's a SPAC. Square decided to report today for some reason. Checked it out. What? No way. No way Square's reporting right now. Is that true? But we'll just go over Square just right now. So Square's still kind of in this uptrending pattern. This right here was kind of like a head and shoulders. I don't want to label it as a picture perfect head and shoulders pattern here. So you'll notice that this right here was a left shoulder, right here a head and a right shoulder, and then we were expecting some type of a bigger breakdown, potentially down to like 155 or 185 per square. But of course, we kind of validated that support at 200. 200 is a really strong support level for square. So $200 is an ideal entry in my opinion for Square stocks. So previous support, validated support. So several times we've kind of validated that same exact level before seeing the rally here. So since then we are up close to over 36-37%, now kind of trading inside this uptrending channel for the company. So moving forward, $243 is going to be the level to watch going into earnings. We've also got the moving averages sitting perfectly underneath. So we got the $240, that's the 50 EMA, and then we got the 200 SMA sitting roughly at 224, 225. That's going to be the two moving averages to watch as well. Square reports second quarter earnings. That is so weird. Here, let me take a look. Okay, so I am getting a report here from Seeking Alpha, which is like, what? This is so unheard of. Like, is this like an official release, or is this just like a leaked report or something? But this actually came out like 8:17 p.m. Eastern, so we're talking like 2 hours ago. Oh my God, this thing. So we're talking like 2 hours ago is when they reported these earnings. So again, Square second quarter earnings beat estimated revenue misses as gross payment volume let's try this. Okay, so there we go. Now we have all the numbers that we need going through that paywall. Alright, so releasing second quarter earnings early in conjunction with its planned $29 billion acquisition of Afterpay, Square reports second quarter gross payment volume increased 29% from the previous quarter, so quarter over quarter increase. Bitcoin revenue slipped from the previous quarter as the price of Bitcoin stabilized from volatility earlier in the years. So Q2 gross payment volume 42.8 billion, up from 33.1 billion in the Q1 and 22.8 billion in second quarter 2020. All right, where's the revenue here? So, all right, operating expenses, we got the revenue. So, second quarter adjusted EBITDA 360 million, increased 53% quarter over quarter, more than tripled from $98 million in second quarter 2020. That's really interesting that they actually went out and reported their earnings even before the markets are open. Like, I've never seen anything like this. Usually companies reported either pre-market, during market hours, or after hours, and this is Square just like out of the blue on a Sunday night. So, all right, Q2 adjusted EPS of 66 cents beats the average analyst estimates of 31 cents. So we got the EPS beat. Q2 total net revenue 4.68 billion, a trailing 5.05 billion consensus declined from 5.06 billion in Q1 and jumped from 1.92 billion in second quarter 2020. So year over year, we're still seeing an increase for the revenues. Quarter over quarter, we're seeing a decline. And from a consensus analyst estimate, we're also seeing a decline. So I'm not too confident about this report. Like in terms of the stock price behavior, I wouldn't be shocked to see a gap down for Square, considering that the revenue missed. And in this market, we've already learned about what happens when the revenue misses. Amazon dropped over 7%, right? A lot of companies drop if the earnings are not picture perfect. And I kid you not, the valuation for Square is basically pricing in all the perfect scenarios right now. So $243 is going to be a support to watch right now, but I wouldn't be surprised to see a breakdown, potentially maybe down to $224 a share for Square. 2021 new things happen. Yes. So yeah, $243 is going to be a support going into tomorrow, but I wouldn't be surprised to see a gap down, potentially maybe down to $225. That's going to be the next support level to watch. Maybe not that much. Maybe like down to 235, because 225 is going to be an 8% drop. We'll see what happens, but we'll see if those support levels get validated or not. All right, let's take a look at All right, what other stocks are we going to look at? So Amazon. So Amazon, I've already basically addressed my concerns and my sort of opinions and thoughts on the drop here. So down over 7.5%. 3,300 was a support level that we talked about for the company. So this right here was the level that we were watching. Perfect validation on Friday at 33.06. Then we got a bounce back higher to 33.27. The earnings were great. I don't see anything wrong with the earnings report. The revenue is fantastic, up over 27% year over year. Quarter over quarter, also an increase, and we saw the first 3 quarters for the company to be able to do $100 billion and more in revenue, like $113 billion. So in a post-pandemic world, year-over-year comparables we knew were going to be very, very tough. So e-commerce is coming down. That's the retail business for the company. But AWS, cloud business, advertising, like those businesses are actually going up for the company, right? That's obviously a less of a contribution margin to the total revenue, which is why it wasn't good enough for us to lift the total revenue number. But still, in my opinion, the law of large numbers, the company generating over $100 billion, a growth of 27% year over year is fantastic, regardless of their revenue miss of $2 billion and their softer guidance for the third quarter. The guidance is somewhat concerning. You know, I don't want to discredit that because, of course, we want a better guidance from the company. But they are still guiding us for well over $100 billion quarter, right? Trailing 12 month now sits at over 440, I think it was $400 billion plus in revenues. So income statement, you come over to like the top line revenues. So there we go. Trailing 12 month TTM total revenue sits at $443 billion. After next quarter, we're gonna probably see this number, 96 billion, drop off, and another 110 billion dollar get added on. So we're looking at potentially, so this number goes off, and we're looking at another increase of 4 plus 10, like 14 billion. So that's gonna put us over $450 billion in a trailing 12-month revenues. There's no company that's doing that, none. And they're still able to grow by 27-30% year over year. I think this is an overreaction by a mile. Like this is, you know, for the R side to come down, the market to become oversold. I think they've got a huge investment coming up in the infrastructure and the warehouses as well. So, and they're becoming more profitable, right? They're becoming more profitable when it comes to EPS. Like EPS is growing at a much faster pace. That's the operating leverage that you're seeing. So 3,300 is going to be the support throughout the next week. In my opinion, that support should get held up unless we see the NASDAQ and the S&P kind of correct more drastically. But if it comes down to $3,000, ooh, I will be buying some at those levels. Like I've been trying to buy more at $3,000, and it's just been kind of going away. It's just been up over 21% in the last couple of weeks. So if it comes down to $3,000, I think that's going to be my sweet spot in the price that I'm willing to pay for Amazon for additional shares. All right, let's take a look at Coinbase because I've been getting requests for Coinbase here. So Coinbase, again, we talked about it a couple live streams ago and how $246 is a resistance here for Coinbase. So this right here is a level that consistently is acting as a resistance. If I remove everything, what is the one level that you guys see that we're getting rejected at? What is that one sort of resistance that you see that we're getting rejected at for Coinbase? We've talked about it. What is that one moving average that you guys see? So let me know in the live chat if you guys notice that one moving average that we are getting rejected at for Coinbase time and time again. It's just now starting to develop, right? It's just now starting to develop. It wasn't there once we first IPO'd, and we're just now starting to see that as well. So when will Amazon and Google do a split? I don't know. I mean, it's a question for the management, right? So they haven't done a split, so we'll see when they actually do that. So 50-day moving average, yes. So 50 EMA, you guys see the yellow line? Every time Coinbase kind of goes back up, we get rejected. We get a retest, we get rejected. We pull back, we get a retest, we get rejected. So it's very clear that Coinbase has a resistance that it needs to break out at 245. I'm just going to quickly go over cryptos as well and see where they're trading. Because last time I checked, I think Bitcoin was breaking out, and look at Ethereum. Testing our next resistance, there we go. So this right here was a resistance that we talked about at close to 25.67 in our market updates. So for those of you who actually check out our market updates, you guys know exactly which resistance we're watching next. And that's going to be sitting roughly at this 25.65, 25.50 levels, so previous resistance for Ethereum. Bitcoin now pulling back from that 42,000 levels. So again, it's very clear exactly where that resistance is. We got up to it as 42,000 right here. and then now we're starting to see a pullback once again. So it's down about 68 basis points, but we're trading below $40,000. So if this continues to persist, I wouldn't be surprised for Coinbase to just be range bound, just go sideways and kind of trade in between like 217 versus $246 per share. But 246, 245, the 50 EMA is the level to break out if you want to see some more cleaner continuation and follow through for Coinbase. All right, let's go over to Alibaba. Excuse me. So Alibaba, the stock of the hour, over here trading as low as 195. I still think that this is undervalued. If you are okay with the volatility, if you're okay with the risks related to the Chinese stocks and the pressures that we're getting, excuse me. So if you're okay with that risk, this is an undervalued stock. This is a company that is undervalued by a lot of different metrics. Even if you compare that with with Amazon and eBay and Etsy and some of those other companies, in my opinion, this is a stock that should be on your radar if you're looking for a really undervalued stock in a market where everything is trading at ridiculously high price to earnings and price to sales ratios. I was really tempted to jump in at close to 180. I mentioned it during our live stream, but it really comes down to your personal preference, right? So what are you most comfortable with when you're holding on to these companies? So that being said, this is a support at $180. So that's going to be this green line you guys see on the chart right there. Rita, don't worry, I'm fine. I don't have anything. But 50 EMA is going to be that next resistance at $211. Similar to Coinbase that we just looked at, we have just been getting rejected at the 50 EMA and this lower high. That's the resistance that we've been watching. We have gotten a couple times, we've seen that breakout, but every time we see that breakout, something new comes out of China, a new news or like a fine or regulations or something that basically drops us back. That's why for the price action, you will see so many gap ups and gap downs for Alibaba, right? It's just been gapping up or gapping down so much. There's so many gaps that Alibaba's left. It's just a really choppy pattern because of the external factors that's driving the price for Alibaba. But that being said, if you're okay with the volatility, like I said, if you're okay with the potential gap ups, gap downs, a lot of sort of range bound patterns, if you're okay like waiting this out, this could be like a deal of a lifetime, considering that this is significantly undervalued. And if you go back up to our all-time highs, that's a 64% gain only to go back to our previous all-time high. Now, mind you, the business has grown tremendously since then. Like this is since October. We had the Singles Day event. I think we had that in November. All that didn't even get priced in to the stock price. So we're looking at a $400 plus if everything goes according to the plan. That's a well over 116% gain, right? If Alibaba gets to trade based on the actual fundamentals and the business and regardless of the risk. So support levels to watch very closely for the stock, $180, all the way as low as this one right here at close to 170. And both of these levels you'll notice that we have previously validated either as a resistance or a support for Alibaba stock. So yeah, I still need to get my tea. It's pretty early here. It's 8 a.m. So I'll probably get my tea here very soon. But yeah, the $180, $170 are going to be two support levels, and the resistance is going to be that 50 EMA and this lower high inside this sort of descending wedge that we're seeing for the stock. All right, let's go over two stocks here, Lucid Motors and Amd. So LCID, I see a lot of people kind of commenting on that. They're not reporting their earnings. They don't have anything coming up as far as I'm aware. So they're still pretty range bound, still trading inside this $29 resistance and $20 support. This has been like a perfect swing trade if you want to take one. So again, if you're buying at support levels, $20, selling at resistance at 29, that's a 37% gain, right? So that right there is a pretty range-bound pattern for Lucid Motors, right? It's just been kind of trading sideways. So I'd continue to watch that $20 level, right? We've got the 200 SMA now starting to develop. So you'll notice that that blue line is on the chart. 200 SMA, $20.36. That's going to be a very important support level. And we got that resistance at $29.30, $29 per share. So very range bound. Again, not really much for us to go over from a technical standpoint. The RSI is very neutral. This is about as neutral as it gets. 47, not too overbought, not too oversold. We got the RSI also kind of trading sideways. So just pretty much just trading sideways right now. So those right there are going to be the range bound pattern. And let's go over advanced micro devices. Ticker symbol AMD. What do you guys think is the ceiling or the resistance for advanced micro devices? Where are we headed next for AMD? Because we've seen a lot of volume kind of kick in, and the valuations got up to 128 billion. And regardless of how bullish I am on the company, I have to address that this is now overpriced. I would personally not be buying AMD at 106. The price to earnings, price to sales have really gone up because of this recent rally that we've seen from $84. The stock is up 26%. So 150 by the end of the year, 120, 112, 109. That's incredible. That's awesome. But if you're someone who's holding for the longer term, this is only the beginning in my opinion, as they continue to kind of gain more market share from Intel in the data server cloud business, and they also roll out new products. So I think AMD is now fully experiencing its potential for the stock, right? For the fundamentals that line up perfectly. Raleigh says, I just take profit at 105. And yeah, that's completely okay. We respect each other's decisions. So if you want to trim your position, if you want to rebalance, if you want to take profit, if you want to buy, all the power to you, right? That's your decision, and you're doing what's best for you. So I'm not here to tell anybody what to do. Of course, regardless of how bullish or bearish I am on a stock, that's your decision, right? And we respect that. So if you want to rebalance at 105, then so be it. If you want to rebalance at 110, that's completely up to you, right? If you want to trim positions, that's also completely fine, right? That's what makes the market, right? Because we're making all these different decisions at the same time on the same stock. So right now, from a technical standpoint, the RSI is 79. The MACD also trading well above the signal line, so it's overbought by a lot of different means, right? The valuations I've already addressed. They're trading at a pretty steep, rich valuation here. So very quickly, if you go over to the statistic, you'll notice that now the price to earnings is at 36, price to sales at 9. Yeah, so that should be right. I thought it was trading at 40. Yeah, I thought it was trading well over 40 for the trailing 12 month, unless I'm wrong about that. But anyway, so 36 is still pretty high in my opinion for AMD, and just from a technical standpoint, it still seems a little bit of a territory where it could pull back for advanced micro devices. So, but the volume has been really good, so we've seen a strong move to the upside for AMD as well. All right, so that's AMD. Support levels to watch at $99, $95, and $90 a share. Resistance is quite unknown, but I think it's a high probability that we see 110 for advanced micro devices. That's going to be the level to watch at $110 a share for advanced micro devices. All right, so let's go over Tesla very quickly. So Tesla is also starting to see that move to the upside. Perfect validation from those moving averages. $700 is going to be the next resistance level to watch for Tesla, right? That's going to be the level right there. Previously gone rejected. This right here was all the resistance and the support levels. So I'd watch 700, considering that the NASDAQ futures are pretty strong right now pre-market. Well, right now, as of before pre-market, up over 40 basis points. The Dow is up over 40. The S&P is up over 44. So across the board, we're potentially seeing a green open. So if that happens, I won't be surprised for Tesla to also kind of break out over 700. That's going to be a big breakout. If we see a breakout over $700 for Tesla, that's actually going to be a really strong breakout for the company. We've just been under that level since like April. We haven't tested highs of 701. Like we haven't seen that print since April. And every time we got up there, we got rejected. We got rejected at 697. This right here is 693, 694. This right here, 700 on the dot. Like this is on July 2nd, literally at that level by the decimal we got rejected at. This right here is 693. So we've just been getting rejected at that resistance. So $700 breakout will be actually really, really strong for the company. We want volume. We want heavier volume. So 29 million on Friday, which is much higher than the average 10-day volume. So that's the resistance I'm watching for Tesla going into next week. If we get a breakout here, then there's a high probability that we see some more continuation and a potential retest of highs of $775, $780. So this right here is going to be the next level to watch. 780, previous resistance, previous support. So old support level turned into a resistance. And if we get a breakout, I could see Tesla trade back up to 780. All right, so for everybody new joining in, we've covered a lot of stocks. We covered Alibaba, we've covered ChargePoint, we just covered Tesla, we've covered Coinbase, we've covered Amazon, we've covered a lot of different companies. So you guys are more than welcome to kind of go back and check out the analysis for those and then jump over to the live stream. All right, talking about SoFi, we're still kind of hovering around this sort of range. So this is the resistance for SoFi, close to $16. And you'll notice previous support level is now starting to act as a resistance for SoFi. So there's going to be a pretty range-bound pattern for the company. The RSI of the MACD is still oversold, and we're seeing a little bit of a small bullish divergence for the price, right? So lower lows being formed for the price itself, and the RSI is forming some type of higher lows. So I wouldn't be surprised to see some more bullish sentiment kind of play out for SoFi for the weeks to come, considering this bullish divergence and the positive divergence. So $16 is going to be the next resistance level, and the 50 EMA is going to be the next level to watch. So 16 is the most important resistance. That's the level that we need to break out over in order for SoFi to continue on this upward trajectory and have any signs of a potential reversal trade for the company as well. But this is very oversold levels in my opinion. The stock has been just selling off since like June 9th, and we've basically dropped over 39-40%. The RSI has come down, the MACD has come down aggressively. So it's almost about time that we see a potential recovery for SoFi. So support levels to watch at 14.31. That's a very strong support level. It looks like we've got the earnings coming up on August 12th. So that's also going to be very important for the company as well. So Square, yes, Alexander, so Square as well, they've covered Square, so you're more than welcome to go back and kind of check out the earnings report, which they already reported, and I also go over the technical analysis for the stock as well. All right, let's go over Intel. So Intel, in my opinion, is undervalued at the moment. If you are interested in a dividend-paying stock, if you're interested in something that's undervalued that you don't mind holding for a longer-term horizon, Intel may be a company that you may want to look into, considering that it's been very range-bound for a really long time. It's just been trading inside this box. It's been great for swing trading, right? So this right here, support, rallied all the way to highs of $68 and 57% gain. But right now, we're still trading about $53 level. There's a huge gap that we left after the earnings for Intel, which I do expect it to fill once again, because every white box that you see is a gap that Intel left and then eventually filled it. So we left a gap here, we filled it. We left a gap over here, we filled that as well. This right here was a small gap. You guys see over here, we filled that gap as well. So there's a gap over here. I wouldn't be surprised for Intel to fill that once again, considering the valuations is really cheap. And Intel has a strong potential to see that recovery story under the new CEO as well, and as they continue to invest in kind of establishing their own manufacturing in the United States. So it's a turnaround story, right? If you believe that Pat Gelsinger has the opportunity to turn Intel around, continue to gain more market share and increase the business, then yeah, Intel seems to be very undervalued. But year-over-year revenue decline was surprising to a lot of people, and of course with the chips getting pushed back and the delays, that's obviously an overhang for the stock price, which is not able to fully realize its potential. But $53 is going to be a support, all the way as low as $48. I mean, if it continues to slide, the deal becomes more and more attractive. I mean, if you can get it at 48, if you can get it at 43, that's like a really undervalued level. Like then you can just be very confident that it's going to be a very low risk, high reward play for Intel over the longer term. So that's that. So NIO also we've already covered. We've covered Tesla in the past. We're going to break down a couple more stocks and then call it because I'm going to just go over and do some more work. But for the most part, let's just go over Walmart. So Walmart, and then one more we'll cover very quickly. So Walmart, it's still trading kind of inside this descending triangle. Well, actually, looks like it's starting to break out over this level at 141. But that right there is going to be the resistance on a horizontal level basis as well. So if I were to kind of mark that resistance at $143, foot 44, that right there is a resistance right here. So we are getting rejected at that level once again. So you know there is some resistance. We got the moving averages, but support level to watch for Walmart is going to be 134. If you do see a retest all the way down to that low. So resistance, you'll notice that we are getting rejected almost exactly at the same level where we got rejected on May 27th. So you'll notice that we are getting rejected at that level. So 134 support all the way as low as $126, and it looks like they also have earnings coming up on August 20th. So later this month is when they are going to be reporting their earnings. All right, last stock we're going to go over very quickly is going to be Etsy, ticker symbol ETSY. And Etsy, I'm waiting for 155, potentially all the way down to that level. If we get that support, that's going to be absolutely incredible. All right, so Sanjeev, I'll go over C3AI in just a second. That's going to be the last stock. Thank you for mentioning and thanks for sharing, and I do apologize for not looking at that. But 184 is going to be the support. Well, we're already breaking down, so I'm going to go ahead and turn this level into a resistance for Etsy. They're reporting their earnings, so we'll see how they do. I'll be watching those very closely because it's one of the stocks that I want to get in on for the longer term. So I think the valuations are reasonable for the company, but the long-term growth projections, according to my estimate, do suggest that we could see like a $300 price tag at some point on Etsy as well. So 184 all the way as low as 154, 155 is going to be support. I'm going to be very interested at Etsy at closer to $154 level. So that's going to be the support level to watch. The RSI is coming down, the MACD is coming down, but the earnings are also on Wednesday after the markets close. So we got Etsy right there. So I'll be looking into those earnings very closely. All right, so next up, last up, we've got C3AI. That's going to be ticker symbol AI. So AI is also on the radar here. Watching the stock as it continues to kind of consolidate sideways. Let's take a quick look on some of the valuations here. So price to sales, it's still trading at 28, right? Can you imagine at what prices did these companies IPO? Like if you look at a lot of like cybersecurity stocks, and I don't want to take up too much of your guys' time, but if you take a look at CrowdStrike, right? These companies, if you come down to the price to sales ratios, they're trading at 58 times sales, 58 times revenue multiples. Like that's unheard of, right? If you take a look at Zscaler, this is another stock in the cybersecurity space that I was looking into. It's just been going higher and higher. You look at the statistics, 53 times sales. Like even 53 times price to earnings is a lot, right? Like if you were to take a look at the traditional metrics, even if a company trades at 53 times earnings, that's considered a lot. But these companies are trading at 53 times sales. That's even like more overvalued, right? So for AI, it's trading at 28 times sales. So not touching this at the moment, unless the fundamentals actually improve for the company. We see those income, like net income grow. We see those revenues, top line revenues also grow for the company, right? So 20 times sales, it's a bit rich for myself, but $50 is where it's trading at. $47 is going to be a support level to watch, and there is going to be a resistance perfectly sitting aligned at $58.84, kind of aligned with that 50 EMA as well, all the way at $74 per share. All right, so that's about it. Thank you so much, you guys, for joining in. It was a quick live stream over the weekend that I wanted to go over some of the top stocks to watch and kind of break down some of the stocks for you guys. So thank you so much, Nelson. I appreciate your comment and glad the videos are helpful. And again, if you guys want to get access to all of the real-time market updates, buy and sell alerts, like you believe it or not, like we're at least our community, we're saving up some buying power to go shopping once again once the valuations come down. So there are a lot of stocks that are on the watch list. There are a lot of stocks that I have price targets on, or desired levels where we're going to be buying more shares of. So you guys if you guys want to get access to all of that, the link to our Patreon is going to be down in the description below. Thank you so much for joining in. I really, really appreciate each and every one of you guys. Have a great weekend. And we'll do another market live stream during market open. So thank you so much. Hope you guys have a great day. See you guys in the next live stream.